Oh, where to begin? Jeez Louise, there's so much. The polls of the Democrats just getting worse and worse and worse. That's in the news. The media has a new conspiracy about Trump's decor on the Oval Office, which I
saw that story.
Can I start there?
Please.
Yeah, I want to start there. This really drives me out of my mind.
You were just there.
You just there.
Noticed a lot of these same things. Did you notice a big conspiracy?
Oh, a giant conspiracy. I spoke to the president about this very thing, okay? When I walked in, they left me and my wife alone in the Oval for about 5 minutes, okay?
Which doesn't normally happen.
That doesn't happen. And when he finally walked in, he said, I asked him to leave you alone in here because I knew you'd want to look around and might feel uncomfortable. So did you look around? And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I touched everything. I said, yeah, I
better than in the Clinton administration, I'll say
right,
that.
No, I mean, I was very, respectful of everything in there. I didn't touch anything, but I did look at everything. And, I mean, they have what he's done. Let me just start here. This is what the New York Times is saying. That if you look at the maximalist gold accents in which Trump has appointed the Oval Office, the sparkle conveys something more than insidious about how Trump views himself. Behold the new Sun King, the wannabe emperor who views his powers as absolute. Really? Is that what it says? Is that really what it says? Okay. Now, you could say, it says a guy who loves gold. Is anybody surprised by that? Is anybody surprised that Donald Trump, the most luxurious, the most golden gold of all gold you could possibly ever imagine. Gold, never thought gold could be this gold. Okay?
The thing he's most famous for before he was president
is gold. Mm-hmm. Okay? He loves gold. I would have you know the president is spending his own money doing any of these upgrades to the White House. Anything that is being done by him, and he is doing a lot, and just a lot. And every American should be grateful for what he is spending his money on and doing. And you will know more about that in the coming months. You will be shocked at some of the things that he is just saying, I'm just going to write a check and do it. But anyway, if you look at the Oval, I want to know how putting paintings of presidents up says I'm the Sun King. Okay. I looked at all of the paintings. I wanted to know because it says a lot about a president on who he is putting up on the walls. You know, what paintings is he putting up on the walls? Now, some people have put landscapes on. Other people, have put, pictures of New York up or whatever. This president has put presidents on the wall. He has taken the, not Rembrandt Peale, I think it's his father, Timothy Peale? I can't remember what his father's name. Rembrandt Peale is the guy who did the Porthole President painting, which is also up on it's above the Declaration of Independence. But above the fireplace, his father did the most famous painting of George Washington as a young soldier.
Charles Wilson Peale.
And it's the one where he's standing. You've seen it a million times in history books. And he's standing there, and he's got his hand kind of in his vest and the sword by his side. And it's a young George Washington. And that hung in the Reagan Oval Office, okay, hasn't been seen since then. All of these paintings, one is a painting of Thomas Jefferson that hasn't been seen in 100 years, okay? And so what Donald Trump did is he went down into the vaults of the White House. I know because I talked to him about this. He said, all of these stuff, Glenn, he said they have all these things that have been and can be used in the White House that are just in storage down in the vaults. And he said, so I just went down in the vaults, and I'm like, what do we have? What do we have? And he said, all of these beautiful paintings of all of these presidents, he said, they haven't been seen. And he's like, I don't know. This is the room of the presidents. I thought we should put presidents up on the wall. Okay. Now, here's the thing that the New York Times will never understand because they immediately go to, he's the Sun King. He wants to behead people and then he'll end up being beheaded. They're immediately going to, he wants to be a dictator. When he first came in, he said, "You see all the gold?" And I said, "You can't really miss it, Mr. President." Now, I'm not a fan of gold and all of the gilding and stuff. The way he's done it is beautiful. I personally, that's not my style, but it doesn't have to be my style. Okay. And I said, I think I know why the price of gold is so high. What does this cost you? And he laughed. And he said, I'm going to leave it, of course, but I mean, unless it's a Democrat, then I might just take all of the gilding off. But he was joking. Here's what he said to me. "Glenn, this is the most important office in the world. And all of these people come from their big, huge palaces and their big, huge rooms of power that's gilded and has all of these paintings, all of the old trappings of power." He said, "I want them to understand that this is the same kind of power, except it's a new power and a power beyond their understanding." So he is doing this to the Oval Office, not to become a dictator, not to signal anything to America, but to signal something to all of the dignitaries that come into that office and sit in those chairs. You are sitting at a place of ultimate power. That's exactly what the Oval is supposed to do. That's why they built it that way. That's the whole point of that office, is to project power to the world, not to the citizen, to the world. I was just with him 2 days ago. We had this very conversation. The New York Times, you're so full of bullcrap, I can't take it.
There was an F in there, and I thought it was going a different direction for a second in the middle of that sentence.
It's very close today. It could happen. I am so sick and tired of this guy. I mean, look, this is not my taste. It's not my taste. That's not the way I would decorate it. But I understand why he's doing it, and I appreciate why he's doing it.
Well, I mean, he does obviously love gold, and he loves the way that's decorated.
He is. But go ahead.
But he also knows how people in powerful positions in other nations view things, right?
Yes. Like he said, "Glenn, I've been to Moscow. I've been in all of their places of power. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that they understand, that they see enough of what they believe is power. They see enough of that, and then some." This conversation went on for probably 10 minutes. It's so ironic that they write this stupid story today.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there, and I gotta, you know what? I'm going to send you some pictures of me sitting with him and my wife at the Oval, and also looking around because we are having this conversation, and you can see him having this conversation with me. We'll post them up online when we get into the break. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he spoke to me about, I can't tell you everything that we spoke about because he made me sign a non-disclosure, and I wish he wouldn't have, because it just shows you who he is and what he's doing that makes him look good. This guy never allows people to talk about the really unbelievable, humbling things that he does. Never, because I think he thinks it makes him look weak. And I just want to, I could take him by the shoulders today and shake him and go, rah, rah, rah. Because the guy is a builder. He knows how to build. He knows how to build things of quality. And what he's doing to the White House is phenomenal, just phenomenal. And he's not doing it to project power. Why, if you were a dictator, why would you put all of the other presidents? Why would you put George Washington over the fireplace? Why would you have Thomas Jefferson? If you wanted to be a dictator, why would you put the Declaration of Independence right next to your desk that says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that governments are established by men? Why would you do that? That says we don't have a king. Why would you do that? Why? Why does he have what is it, FIFA? Is that how you say it, FIFA?
FIFA for the soccer?
Yeah, the soccer.
Yeah.
Okay, he has the soccer statue, the
World Cup?
The World Cup.
Okay.
Sitting right next to his desk. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, so the FIFA guy comes and is visiting the president. And I walk in, and I only seen a little bit of it, when the press is in there. And I'm like, I think that's the World Cup. And so I go in. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable in real life. And it's all gold, beautiful gold. And it's this year's cup, which is happening here in America. And so the FIFA president comes in and shows him the cup. And he's like, we do have the World Cup happening here. It would be great if you just leave it here next to my desk. And the guy is like, okay, you can have it for a couple of months. And he's like, all right. So he's got it. I think, until the World Cup happens. So he has it sitting there. Why? Why would he put it there? Why? Tell me why. Tell me. Anybody, quickly.
My guess would be that the importance of that trophy to the rest of the world is incredibly high.
Yes. No, it's because he wants to be a dictator and show that he could even win at soccer games. No, right. He's showing the rest of the world.
This thing just lives here when I want it, basically. Yes.
We are the center of the World Cup this year. The world is coming to us. He's going to have, mark my words. He didn't tell me this, but mark my words. He will have the gold medals and everything else from the Olympic Games, which is also here in America. He will have those in his office. He is signaling to the world. You New York Times people are so caught up in your own self-righteous, dim-witted, overeducated bullcrap that you can't get beyond yourself. Can you not see what a negotiator is doing? Are you really that dim-witted that you can't understand what this guy is doing? Are you that full of spite and hatred that you can't for a second step outside of yourself and go, wait a minute, is there a strategy to this? This guy is playing a game of chess beyond you're not even playing checkers. You're not even playing marbles. I don't know what you're playing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think part of the reason they do stuff like this is because it fits into their narrative of who he is.
Yes.
And I think you could, if you kind of look at it from a surface, if you step back, I don't think you can possibly get to, hey, he wants to be a king. That's just dumb. But you could get to a place where you think he wouldn't put any thought into this, right? I think you could get to, guys tweeting mean things at people. He's out there. He's letting it fly all the time. He's a former reality show host. He's not going to care about what paintings are in the Oval Office. That I can understand that view years and years ago, but he's very, very thoughtful on this stuff, and I don't think I knew that about him until from you, because of behind the scenes. I learned about it.
I didn't know. Let me tell you something
and this
else.
is like your fascination.
Yes, let me tell you something else I learned about him this week. All right, give me 60 seconds and we'll be back. When you think about Israel, what do you see in your mind's eyes? Israel, land of stone walls, ancient prayers, sunlight falling on your shoulders. You walk down the streets, walked by prophets and kings and Jesus, a land of music, laughter, rich in hair. Do you think of any of that stuff? When you think of Israel today, you most likely think of, geez, it's got to be hell over there. Is it safe? Right? Support the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. You are not just helping with food, heat, and security. You're doing all of that, but you're also helping preserve the people who have carried God's word through centuries of fire. You're helping to preserve culture, precious heritage, a legacy. You're saying to the world, this matters. These people matter. So let's stand together. Let's lift up the nation of Israel together, not just a place on the map, but as a people. Let's make sure the world never forgets what God started there and what they have given to us. Give a gift today. Bless the people of Israel. Go to supportifcj.org, supportifcj.org, or call 888-488-IFCJ, 888-488-IFCJ, International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, supportifcj.org. 10 seconds, station ID. Yeah. I keep thinking we're in 2026 already. Yeah, so World Cup is 2026. So are the Olympics, I think. Now, where was I? Oh, let me tell you. Here's this guy. I told you when I saw him over the summer, I said he has spent his time studying. He has really studied up. He knows the power of the presidency. He knows the Constitution. He has learned. He spent 4 years going to some sort of school, and he has a learning curve that is almost straight up. When I was with him this week, he took me on a tour of the White House and was teaching me the history of the White House. And it was fun. His aide said, I've never seen him like this. He was like a kid. He said the two of you were like two high school kids going, no, wait. Did you know this? And he's taking me on a tour and he's telling me stuff I never knew. And then I'm teaching him other stuff that he didn't know about the White House. And here's where he passed me like crazy. First of all, had no idea he knew art as well as he does. He knows art and artists very well, past and contemporary artists. I mean, he knew names of people and was talking about contemporary artists that, I mean, I just learned about maybe 5 years ago because I just got into art. He knows them and knows their work, I should say. The guy is so well-rounded, and he's standing in the room and in the White House, and we're walking, and he's like, look, I moved this piece here. And I was thinking, because he walks it every day, and then he also sees what the tour sees. And he's like, I want to make sure that we position this and that, and, you know, what president should go here. And he was very careful on the place of honor that he gave Barack Obama's picture. Again, I couldn't find one of George W. Bush, but that's strange. And he's walking around. He moved Abraham Lincoln here. We're going up the stairs, and he points to a painting up there, and he's like, I think this president is in the wrong place. And I look up, and it's Eisenhower. And I said, well, do you see it every day? He said, I do, but it just does. I don't see it enough. And I said, well, I would agree with you. I think you should see that more often, because that guy, in his farewell address, is the guy who predicted everything that you're going through right now. He said it would happen. And he said, you talking about the military-industrial complex speech? And I said, no, go back and read it. It also talks about the educational industrial complex and the scientific industrial complex. I said, everything that you're going through, he predicted. And so he went back and forth, and we talked about Eisenhower. And he knew him inside and out. And as we were leaving, he was over the balcony, and I'm walking down, and he's like, you know what? I'm moving him today. He is very well aware. I couldn't believe, honestly, Stu, how much the two of us are alike. I mean, that's exactly how I am. Everything has a meaning. You know, you put things exactly where it has a meaning. You just have to understand what he's thinking. And the New York Times doesn't understand what he's thinking. They're assigning ridiculous things to him that he doesn't mean. He's not going there. Your own insane Donald Trump derangement syndrome is leading you to that path. It's the opposite of what they say he's doing.
This is Glenn Beck.
You know, there are some gifts that get opened and then eventually forgotten, and then there are the other ones, the ones that get woven into somebody's lives. I gave my wife some pajamas from Cozy Earth, and I got to tell you, she wears them every night. Every night. They're so comfortable. They are great. If you're looking for a Mother's Day gift, that's a really good one. Or that blanket that you always grab off the back of the couch. Cozy Earth. Everything you can find at Cozy Earth, that's going to be one of those gifts. That's just science. I don't make the rules. It's just science. Their sheets, their robes, their pajamas, their loungewear, everything they touch is comfortable, stylish. The sheets are naturally temperature regulating. So, sure, some people are going to be buying flowers and candy pretty soon for their moms in their lives. Good for them. Here's what you need to do. You need to go to CozyEarth.com. Get something real. CozyEarth.com. In this world, rest is one of the most precious things you can give someone. If you can rest comfortable and rest in style at the same time, why wouldn't you? Mother's Day, this is the best gift you can get them. CozyEarth.com. Check out their pajamas and everything else. It's CozyEarth.com/Beck. CozyEarth.com/Beck. All right. Make sure you get all of the podcast and all that you need at glennbeck.com. Go to glennbeck.com. Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. So I just sent some photos. I think we're posting them up now. If you happen to be watching us right now, I want you just to see these photos. These are the things that we just took along the way. Now this is Donald Trump and I. We're downstairs where the tours go, and he's got the picture. And you saw this maybe if you follow the White House, their X or Instagram. It's a painting of Laura Bush and Hillary Clinton, and he's got a picture of him almost like a warrior with warrior paint on his face in between. And my favorite picture is the one that follows it, and it is this one, because he's turning around and he's buttoning his coat. And we're going to take a picture together, and he's turning around. And he goes, "It's driving them out of their minds." And I'm just laughing because I'm like, this guy is just trolling, non-stop trolling. I love this. It's driving them crazy, and they have no idea that he's trolling them.
It seems like he's got a lot of important things to do, and this is where he gets his joy.
It is. It is.
Just screwing with the media.
It is.
It's like what makes him happy outside of his actual hard work.
It takes him 20 seconds walking down a hall and going, you know what? You know that painting of me with the war paint, put it between. That's all it took.
Right.
That's all it took.
Has caused multiple news stories to be written and viral reaction and everything else.
Now, here's a picture of the two of us, Matanya and I, sitting at the desk in front of the president, and the president is telling us about all of the paintings that he just hung up. Everything that the New York Times says, he wants to be a dictator. He's explaining it to me. He was important to him because I think he knew I would understand, and he is explaining, this is why I'm doing all of this stuff. And he has just said, you see the painting of George Washington behind there? That hasn't been seen since Reagan, yada, yada, yada. And that's Tanya and I looking back at the painting. This is me standing as he's talking about the Declaration of Independence. This is me standing in front of the Declaration of Independence, just reading it and looking at it. It's in pristine condition. Now, if you want to be a dictator, why would you put that right next to your desk? Why?
It's the ultimate non-dictator document.
Yes.
Right?
Here's
anti-dictator.
Next one is Tanya and I looking up at another painting as he's telling us about it. This is the two of us on the back patio as we're walking out. He's taking us someplace, and he walks out and he's like, let me tell you about the Jackie. Because as we pass it, I said, this place pisses me off every time. And he said, what do you mean? The Rose Garden? And I said, it pisses me off every single time. And he said, why? And I said, because of what they did to Melania. All they did was bash her and say how she wrecked the Rose Garden when she took the original plans from Jackie O and restored the garden exactly the same way. And he just looked at me and he goes, I don't even understand it. I said, they just hate. They just hate it. The facts don't matter. And then he starts telling me some other things that are coming. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. This is a picture. The next one is a picture of us down in, I'm not sure which one this is, maybe the yellow room down towards the basement. And we were downstairs. We were going by the library, and he was talking about stuff. And he's like, oh, I got to show you this. He's exactly like I am when I get over to the museum. His head would explode if he came over to the museum. His head would explode. The two of us would just... because he's exactly like I am. When I get to a tour over the museum, nobody can stop me. Everybody's like, Glenn, you've got all these... And I'm like, yeah, wait just a minute. And I'm so excited to share all of history. That's what he is doing. He's not boasting. He's so excited to show American history. And we walked into this room, and he was like, "Oh, you got to see this painting." And this is where I understood he really knows art. He's like, "You got to see this painting." And he comes in, all these beautiful paintings. And this is the room where, before he talks about the painting, I said, "Let me ask you something, Mr. President. I know you're Donald J. Trump, but," and he stopped me. And I was kind of frustrated because he was like, "Oh, absolutely." And I thought, he doesn't know what I'm going to ask. He did know. I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Every day I get up and I think, I can't believe I'm allowed in this house. I can't believe I'm in this house." So you want to talk about humble? Does that sound like a dictator? Does that sound like a dictator, New York Times? So he goes in and he's like, "Look at this painting." And it's the painting of Jackie O. It is stunning, this painting of Jackie O. And this is us in that room. Now, do any of those things sound like a dictator? Any of them? Any of them? I have to tell you, I didn't sign a non-disclosure on one thing but I out of respect for him, I'm not going to say it until I get permission from somebody at the White House. And I know he's on his way to Rome today to go pay his respects to the Pope. But I can't, I want to show, because I have the photographic evidence of something that will blow your mind about this guy. And I know if I ask, they're going to say, "No, please don't. Please don't." But I have it, and they don't know I have it, and they didn't make me sign a confidence. It was captured during a moment while we were filming, so I have the right to do it, but I want to do it so badly, but I'm not going to, out of respect for him. But I know he's going to say, "No, you can't show that." But I have to tell you, we airbrushed something out of a photo that has been released. My wife caught it, and she's like, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Look at this." And it stopped everybody in their tracks. And they're like, "Holy cow, what?" And it tells you everything you need to know about this guy. And out of courtesy, we have airbrushed it. And I got to tell you, if he won't allow me to talk about it at some point when he's no longer the president, I am going to tell you about it, because it tells you everything about who this guy truly is, who he truly is. And I know it, and I know why I was there, because I know who he was meeting with just about an hour later. And who he was meeting with were veterans, and those veterans, the guy who was actually leading that. We were leaving the Roosevelt room, and coming into the Roosevelt room was Tim Kennedy, and he had a whole bunch of veterans with him. And you might have seen the video of him with the veterans where they're taking off their prosthetics and putting them on his desk, and he's signing their prosthetics. And I just know who he is. I know who he is.
Oh, we are so close to getting this information. This is not going to even take a month. I'm not even close. Day after he came back.
Not even close to telling you what I know from
You've
upstairs.
Already walked us down the whole hallway. All I have to do is open the door. You're all the way down there. This is,
Nope,
right.
I won't.
Like, that was torture. You built up this great story, and then you don't tell us the story.
Well, it is torture because that one I don't have a non-disclosure on. That one is free game. But out of respect, I don't want to say, because I know him. No, please don't. And I'm telling you, that one, I'm going to either be on the phone with him or face to face and say, "You've got to let me tell that story."
Is it that he wants to be a dictator? Does he have a king? Does he have a king's crown? Is that what he has?
All right, I give. Mm-hmm. He has a guillotine in his pocket.
A pocket guillotine?
In his pocket, wow. Yes. For little teeny heads. Because all of the people that are overeducated and at the New York Times, they have little teeny heads. And so he's got a little teeny head guillotine that he carries around with him all the time.
I knew that's who he was.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Be in the New York Times in the next 15 minutes, I'm sure.
So let's see. Here's something. Search warrant applicants or applications show that federal investigators knew for years about the millions of dollars flowing to Joe Biden's son from Ukraine, China, Romania, and elsewhere. Newly unredacted IRS and FBI search warrants tied to the federal investigation into Hunter Biden provides new details of the information that investigators had in their possession about President Joe Biden's son's business deals linked to Ukraine, China, and elsewhere. Multiple search warrant applications were released, with only some redactions remaining late Tuesday following an agreement between Hunter Biden's legal team and the Justice Department. The government has conferred with subject matter experts within the Department of Justice and counsel of Mr. Biden. The parties agree search warrant applications and affidavits at issue may be unsealed with limited redactions, according to the acting U.S. Attorney for Delaware. She added the government proposes and counsel for Mr. Biden does not object to limited redactions to protect specific privacy and grand jury secrecy interests. So it's showing now, again, how the government, and this is the thing that I will pound him on a year from now. If we don't have arrest warrants for people who did this, I will pound him on this. And I told him, it means nothing. It means nothing. We change everything, but you do it all through executive order. And you don't clean out the Justice Department. You don't clean out the FBI. You don't clean out Intel. It means nothing because all that deep state they'll just come back. They'll just come back. And he knows it. And he's like, be patient, be patient, be patient. And I'll be patient, but not to the point to where nothing happens. Because if he loses the next election, God forbid, all of this stuff comes back. And it's got to be prosecuted. You know, you want to go after Hunter Biden, go after Hunter Biden. That's fine. Who was it? Who was it that hid all of this stuff? I want to know who was it that hid that we had a vegetable for a president who couldn't do anything. That put our country at risk. I want them in jail. And I don't want them in jail through the dictate of a king. I want a fair, honest trial. I don't want any, quote, trumped up information. I want a real, actual trial based on the Constitution and the facts. And if anyone broke the law, I don't care what party they're from. I want them in jail. That's the only way we save our country. Now, one last thing. I don't know if you saw what made the chief data analysis of CNN go, holy cow. But the Democratic leaders in Congress, they keep saying, Donald Trump is having some low numbers. He's having some low numbers, especially when it comes to the economy. All right. The belief that the American people had that the Democrats would do the right thing in Congress for when it comes to the economy. Last year, it was at 80%. Now that number is 39%. That is the lowest number by far in the history of Gallup polling. The lowest previous was 60%. Houston, I think we have a problem. They're about to suffocate in space. They have no idea. This is why Chuck Schumer bailed and said, no, we're not going to close down the government. And why we should have stood and said, no, go ahead. Shut the government down, Chucky. Shut it down. Congress, it's not the day to piss me off. Congress, get back to work. Get back to work. Fix the nation. Work with the president. Pass the tax cuts. Real tax cuts. Pass pass the RAINS Act. You won't have to do anything. You just pass the RAINS Act. You know why you won't? Because it makes you do your job again. That's why you won't, you weasels. Back in just a minute. All right, let me talk to you about Lear Capital. I'm kind of in a mood today. So what's the Fed doing? Oh, I don't know. What's happening to the dollar? I don't know. Is your retirement safe? I don't know. The answer to those things is not doing anything. Is your retirement safe? No, it's really not. Let's be honest. Please, let's be honest. Oh, God. Lear Capital can help you. May I suggest you move a portion of what you have into physical precious metals, gold and silver. Have you seen the price of gold? A year ago, I was telling you could call Lear Capital and they give you their new $4,500 gold report, where maybe by the end of the term, gold would be at $4,500. Well, it's at $3,500 today. When I first started talking about it, it was at $2,000. Nothing moves in gold that fast without real problems. That is a signal. Please pay attention to this signal. It is the biggest bat signal the economy has. Please call Lear Capital, 800-957-GOLD, 800-957-GOLD. Get your $4,200 gold report while it's under $4,200. Call 800-957-GOLD. Ask them about how you can get $15,000 in free gold or silver with qualifying purchase. 800-957-GOLD.
Glenn Beck.
Wait until I tell you what's happening in Washington State. If you live in Washington State, you got to move. I'm telling you that right now. You got to move. I'm serious. Sarah's laughing at me like, that's what. You got to move. Move. Wait until I tell you about the two things they've just passed and signed into law in Washington. It's insane. It's insane. Look at the signs. Move. All right. Just looking at some of the comments online. Johnny wrote, it's projection. This is exactly how the New York Times views themselves with Obama as their former Sun King. It's exactly right. They see what they feel, what they dream of, and they always accuse us of what they're doing. Is it Momi or Mommy with an I? Says, Glenn, I'm looking at the photos online. How'd you get such a beautiful wife? I know, right? Is that crazy?
Great point of the day right there.
She was blind when we first, and she had no feeling in her fingertips. So, I could tell her, she could hear, so I could tell her, what you're feeling right there? Solid muscle. And she believed me. And
interestingly enough, she did get her eyesight back, but then intentionally blinded herself.
Yeah, she clawed her eyes out at night. It was weird. It was weird. Anyway, more in just a minute with Tim Kennedy.
This is Glenn Beck.